Hey, what's up, Giants fans? Welcome to another episode of Giants Talk. I'm Cole Kuiper here with Giants insider Alex Pavlovic. We're talking about the things we missed over our winter break. It's been kind of a busy last couple of weeks in the Giants world. Maybe not busy in the way fans would like, but 2026 is here. Spring training is right around the corner. We've got stuff to talk about. Am I signed? Meckler DFA'd, World Baseball Classic news, and more. Before we get started, Giants Talk is presented by Mancini Sleep World. At Mancini Sleep World, every mattress is backed by their Rest Easy promise. That means 365-night comfort guarantee, free next-day delivery and old mattress removal, best price guarantee, and 0% financing for 60 months. Mancini's make sure you sleep soundly in every way. Visit sleepworld.com. Okay, Alex, how are you doing? How's 2026 treating you?
I'm well rested. Lots of you and I were on emergency pod watch.
Yeah, and it just didn't come together.
I was ready. I was like, one of these mornings we'll pop out of the Mancini's. And I don't even think we got close. Like we never even we did exchange texts at some point, but there was no even question of
no, it was we only got as far as sarcastic. Yeah. Is this an emergency podcast? Text.
I think maybe I texted you after Wade Meckler and said should we pop on? But
are we doing this? Yeah. Or was it New Year's Day that?
Never got close. So
yeah. All right. Well, you bring up Meckler. I guess we can start with that. Wade Meckler DFA'd. Meckleheads worldwide in absolute shambles.
It was I heard from some other people who were like, is Cole okay? So, it's just one of those where we've kind of talked all offseason that the makeup of their 40-man and especially the outfielders on there, it just wasn't going to be sustainable. And three obvious guys who were maybe running out of time, Wade Meckler, Marco Luciano, and Luis Matos. And as it stands right now, one of them's still here and has a pretty clear avenue to playing time given the lack of activity. Yeah. The other two are gone. I think with Meckler, that one's just a bummer to me because he actually fits in a lot of ways what they're trying to do and the way they're drafting and the way the players are trading for it. They just really screwed up a few years ago by rushing him up there and putting him on the 40-man. And there was, it was kind of an unforced error, and it starts the clock on these guys. And it's not something we talk about often because usually guys Joey Bart was kind of pushed into it, and I don't think they messed up the clock with Marco at all, but it's not often that we talk about a guy where you go there was really no reason to do that. And they did it pretty quickly, and pretty quickly he ran out of options. So
I'm trying to remember what was going on in August of 2023 that they felt like they had to rush him. Was this an important filling the gap move, or is this just a complete unforced error?
Wasn't that AJ Pollock? I think.
Okay.
Was that around the time?
It sounds about right. I mean, we're talking what feels like 10 lifetimes ago.
It does. We're also coming off 2 weeks of vacation, so we're
the brain fog is real. I gotta remind myself what baseball is, let alone what happened in 2023.
That was the AJ Pollock deadline.
Okay.
So that was where it was kind of these are the outfield answers here. And he's had some injuries too. A lot of injuries. He's had there was I think some problems diagnosing one of his injuries in particular, and it held him back. We talked last offseason about maybe second base would be an option for him. That never got off the ground. So just for a guy that I think we're like, that guy could be a real fan favorite. And also just kind of fit someone who in theory it's contact skills and put the ball in play and do the little things, just never quite worked out.
Yeah, no, it's a bummer. It is kind of crazy to think about. We haven't seen him in that long since 2023 for how much he gets talked about on this podcast and in the Giants fandom.
That's why he was leading our first 2026 pod. It was a big moment for you.
Almost the emergency podcast. Yeah. This is kind of becoming a trend, though. And you kind of touched on this, is the mishandling of these guys and maybe even just misdrafting. Well, that was the 2022 draft class.
Yeah.
Is there anything on the horizon beyond Tony Vitello that makes us feel like a new leaf is going to be turned over in drafting and development?
Well, I think it's, one thing I thought about as soon as he got DFA'd was just you look at that draft class, and we are this will be year 4 with these. It's like we're at the point and we're beyond the point where like you start getting real contributions from these guys. I mean, draft classes in baseball take a while, but once you hit like the 3-year mark and it's like the 2022 class, you start looking around and going, you really hoped that this is like what's feeding your team. And
Yes.
part of the continued issue here is you look at that class. First pick was Reggie Crawford, ton of injuries. Second pick, Carson Wisenhunt. We saw him. He might be part of the mix this upcoming season. We'll get to the starting pitching and the additions they've made. And it seems like they really are trying to like keep it open for guys like Carson. Will Kempner, he got traded. Spencer Miles, they lost in the Rule 5 draft. Hayden Birdsong, we've seen. And I still am very high on his future, but we haven't quite seen what he is. And then you kind of go down the list after that, and it's Meckler. They've only had 3 guys from that class to make the big leagues, and they're at negative WAR for that class overall, which part of it is just Birdsong took such a hit this year. So I do think they can get some guys out of that group, but it is when you kind of look around and go like, where are the guys in AAA? Where are the guys who are supposed to be backfilling? You start hitting that point where you look at like, well, that 22 class, that 21, 22, like those should be the guys who are really starting to contribute.
Yeah. All right. What more can be said? I mean, we don't have to talk about Marco Luciano yet. Obviously not a draft player, but another guy kind of developmentally squandered by the Giants. It gets super frustrating because you can't, to fail on the signing front and to fail on the development front is just not a way to, operate a successful franchise.
Well, it leads you to our next topics, which is free agency, and where you kind of go like, there's a lot of holes to fill because they haven't done as much of it internally. So, and they haven't been very proactive in filling those holes either. So it's not a great mix right now.
Which pitching signing do we want to start with? The guy they got or the guy they didn't get?
I think we should start with the guy they got.
All right.
Tyler O'Malley, 1-year deal, $10 million reportedly, has not been announced yet. That's not finalized yet. Happened over the holidays, so it's there's some delay there. But it's in a weird way like a guy I've always liked, and a guy I've always kind of thought like both guys they've gotten this offseason always kind of show up on my radar around the deadline and in the offseason. And it's just I don't know that we expected both of them, like two of this type. So I think that's the big question going forward is, and we talked about this when they signed Hauser, was are Roop and Hauser your 4 and 5? And is there a really strong 3? And I think like one thing we probably should talk more about is, one, Robbie Ray had some struggles in the second half, and 2, he's the free agent after next year. So when you start thinking about like a real strong 3, it's also like, who is the number 2 starter in 2027? Like what kind of rotation are you building around Logan Webb here? And they have a very, very clear approach here. I think we are in alignment with most Giants fans that we would like more upside from this rotation. This doesn't really feel like building around pitching and defense quite yet. So there's a lot of guys still out there. It's January 4th. There's like half the top 15, 20 free agents are unsigned, but it seems like they have kind of made their moves in the rotation.
Yeah, I mean, in big picture, it does feel like league-wide this is a weird offseason. I don't know if that's talent-wise. I don't know if that's looming labor discussions a year from now. Who knows what factors go into this, but it just does not feel like our normal offseason.
No, it's a very weird offseason, and we'll get to the next guy who did sign and what it all means. But I like Malley. I've always liked him. I think there's talent there. I just kind of look at the rotation and still just go like with the questions in the bullpen too. I don't know. The pitching staff just overall just doesn't feel strong enough. And I also, we haven't talked to anyone with the Giants yet because it's been the holidays and no one's really fully given a playbook of what all this means, but it does seem like the rotation's locked in here. And we kind of thought like it'd be great to add a couple guys like this and have a guy in front of them. So you have like this, I think we use like Jacob Junis as an example of like and Hauser's in that mix as well, like a guy who can fill different holes for you. And maybe that's like your third guy. But if this is like their offseason and these are the two guys, it's like a little, you're really asking for a lot of guys to have career years to be where you want to get to.
Hey, that worked in 2021, right? Why don't we just have a few career years?
It did. And I've heard from some Giants Talk listeners who are like, you guys talk down on the big contracts so often. I'm like, yeah, in general, I like these shorter deals. I just feel like this is an offseason where they really needed to go get a dude, whether it was free agency or trades to put between Logan and Robbie Ray and the rest of the rotation. And so far they haven't done that. So I think they've added some good depth. I think they've added some guys who are going to give them a lot of innings, which they needed in the second half last year. But if you're talking about getting back to the postseason, like you kind of hope there's a little more just upside, I guess, with this group. And I think the other thing I'll say is just there is just a tremendous amount of pressure now on Logan Webb to throw 215, 220 really, really good innings. And and he can do it, and he probably will. He does every year, but there's just a lot of pressure on that top guy.
I want to pepper in before we move on. I like to dive in as soon as the Giants sign or trade for a new guy. See like what's their deal on Instagram. Do they have a cool dog? Do they, where'd they grow up? My fun Tyler Mahle fact is committed to UCSB and then big league to them for the Cincinnati Reds.
It's going to be a tough one for us.
Yeah. No, but you choose Cincinnati? Come on, over Santa Barbara.
He had the right thought. It's
career first, I guess.
We'll have to see what that signing bonus was. But he has, you go back to his Reds days, and even last year, I mean, he was really good in Texas last year. 2.18 ERA in 16 starts. Like there is talent here, and he's a guy who just hasn't stayed healthy. And I think with Hauser too, like you look at his first half last year, and you can see what they're trying to do. It's a little bit like with Gausman, like there's been flashes here, and you just really have to, you hope you hit on it. Like to your point about 21, like they hit on all that and it was great. But for this team where they are right now and being, in win now mode with the age of their position players and, maybe labor issues coming a year from now, I think you'd want a little bit more certainty from your rotation.
Yeah. All right. And moving on to the biggest topic, I think, in the Giants sphere of this week, and that's Tatsuya Emay, the highly touted Japanese pitcher who worked his way into Giants fans' hearts by immediately coming out of the gate and saying he wanted to be the guy who didn't join the Dodgers but beats the Dodgers. He signs with the Dodgers, kind of their arch nemesis, their most hated team in the world. And that's not the Giants. That's the Houston Astros.
Yeah, 3 years, $54 million guaranteed, $9 million incentives, opt-outs after both years. A very, very, very reasonable contract. If you go back 2 months, like people were, the conversations we've had around him were like they're not going to spend $100 million on this guy. I think one thing that I thought about a lot the last week, and I wrote this a little bit at the winter meetings, was I think one issue with this offseason is I don't think the Giants just love a lot of these guys, and especially the guys at the top of the market. And I just never got a sense that like they were in love with this guy. And if they were, they would be the ones who would pay him this contract, because this is a very reasonable contract for a starting pitcher his age. I think we saw the industry as a whole just kind of go, hold on, we don't think he's that good.
Yes.
Because I think you have to like pay attention to. I saw a lot of different fan bases. Like I saw a lot of like Brian Cashman trending and Yankees fans going, he's an idiot. How could he not sign this deal? I do think we have to like pay attention to the fact that a lot of smart front offices looked at this guy and just went, no, we're good. They're smarter than us.
we didn't see a ton tying him to the Giants beyond it made sense. And a lot of that coming from nationwide guys and likely the agents behind all this.
And yeah, that was the other thing I was going to say is we did not do a whole lot here other than like it made sense. And he really hates the Dodgers and that checks some boxes. But
which at the end of the day was such a great move because look at how much he was talked about just because of that.
I will say I went back and I wrote his name in stories 3 times over 2 months. And it was none of it was like I never wrote an MI article. It was like he was in other stories and that is informed because I just wasn't hearing his name.
Yeah.
And I just don't think there was like that high a level of interest. So, and obviously that ended up being the case. I would also say like I kind of got that same sense from the rest of the beat. And obviously we talked to some of the same people, but different people. And a lot of the MI stuff, I think, was the same old national connections, but also like, I just think Giant social media really attached themselves to this guy because he said all the right things. But it was never coming from the reporting.
Yeah.
That there was any real, and I dug into it at the winter meetings and just was not hearing anything like it. So, yeah, I think we've talked about him a fair amount here because of the Dodgers stuff, but the actual connection to the Giants just did not seem to ever be there.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I saw a lot of he's the Japanese Tim Lincecum thrown around. And I don't know if that is just because he has long hair or at least did in the images that were oftentimes used for jersey photoshops or what.
We had this exact conversation like 6 weeks ago. He had long hair. He was a slight guy. He throws hard. He was saying the right things about the Dodgers. Like I'd be curious down the line, maybe we can get an answer to this. How much was like conveyed to him that, hey, there's this team in San Francisco that has a hole in their rotation and you might vibes wise check a lot of boxes. Like maybe say some anti-Dodger stuff in interviews. I don't know. Or maybe the same goes for the Padres, things like that. Certainly ends up with Houston. So it worked a little bit, but it's going to be a really interesting one to follow because like either everyone was right and this is just kind of like, okay, that was way too much was made of this guy in free agency, or everyone was wrong, in which case like the Giants really screwed up because he did check a lot of the off-field boxes, but if they were wrong about his talent, that was the thing.
That's the question though. With the kind of deal he landed, if they were wrong, they missed out on a year of him. Right. And now we're going to have the whole circus song and dance again. If he absolutely balls out and is a phenom, 2 opt-outs in this deal, it's built for him. So yeah, he can go wherever he wants.
If they were wrong about his talent level, we're having this conversation next offseason because we're like, hey, this guy actually remember the long hair? So, it's going to be a really interesting one to follow. I'm curious, like, these people see him a lot and I'm curious what their evaluations ended up being. They were dead on about everybody was dead on about Yamamoto. Like their Giants were fully willing to give him $300 million because they're like, this guy's special. A lot of the same people looked at Emay and just went, But it is, and to your point, the contract, like it's very. Also, if you just feel like he's not great, like it's also kind of a bearable contract.
Exactly. So it's not any massive albatross of a deal, but do you think they have any aversion to this style of contracts just being a new regime? I don't know. It makes a lot of sense to me. Even knowing everything we know now, if he doesn't have the talent level expected, still looking at these numbers, it'd be like, yeah, sure, why not?
I think Giants talk has a long history of being pro opt-out contract. Like
Carlos
Rodon, you want to come ball out here for a year? Go ahead, man. Like, the Blake Snell one like stings a little bit, but just not really. He pitched very well in the second half.
Yeah.
And had they been in the right spot, like he's starting game 2 of a playoff series, probably shutting somebody down. So he was the best pitcher in baseball for 2 months. I don't mind these at all. I think the Giants have come around a little bit. I did ask Buster about that at the winter meetings in December. I think they've come around a little bit just because they have done the long-term ones. And there was a point, and I understood it, like where you look around and you go like, there has to be somebody whose jersey you can buy, who's here. But now they have Willie, they have Devers, they have Chapman, Logan, Jung-Hoo Lee. Like, they have a bunch of guys signed long term, so there should be no issues with contracts like this. And I actually think if you look at what they've done with the pitching contracts, they're on a 1-year plan. They're on a short-term plan. So something like this would be great. He just wasn't the guy for him.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll talk more about him, especially as the season gets going. We'll have an eye open for what's going on in Houston, keeping tabs on him and potentially what could have been. But yeah, I think we summed it up pretty well here, that the connection to the Giants really seemed forced from places. The call was not coming from inside the house.
It was that. And I was like, I think we've been a little, like, we're a little down on this offseason.
Yeah.
Rightfully so. But there's a very, very strong chance that, like, both guys they signed have better seasons than Emay. Like, it especially Malley, I think, like, he very easily could just outpitch him next year.
Combined the two guys for as much as he got.
Yeah. It's just, there's sometimes you don't know, like, there's an element of, like, he could be much better. He could come over and just be much better than anybody thought. So there's maybe more upside there. And I do think part of this is, for the fan base, it would have been nice to have someone like that.
Yeah. We've had a lot of fairly splashy signings and trades over the last year, 2 years. Lee, there's been a lot. Devers, Adames, and I kind of feel like you get hooked on those. They feel really good. Give me another hit of that.
Where's the next one?
Yeah, come on.
I also think part of the fan reaction is a lot of my career and a lot of Giants fans, it has been based around guys like that, based around aces. And you're going Saturday to watch Madison Bumgarner, or you're going Tuesday night to watch Timmy, or you're going Friday night to watch Logan Webb against the Dodgers. So and maybe Hayden Birdsong turns into that, maybe Wisenhunt turns into that, but like they've been missing an element of that. And so I fully understand why people watch someone like Emay, who you start hearing the rumors about him and reading the reports and go, that's the next guy. Like, that's so it makes sense.
Yeah. All right. Enough with Emay for now. We mentioned him earlier, but Marco Luciano, no longer a Giant. Already covered that here on Giants Talk.
Yeah.
Headed over there to Pittsburgh, I believe, and then immediately, unceremoniously DFA'd.
Yeah, this has been not a good offseason for emergency pods, but a good offseason for things that you and I will circle back to 17 times.
Yeah, just like whatever's one step below an emergency pod, we're hitting that button hard.
Like, we're going to be watching Emay closely, and if he has a 1.7 ERA through 4 starts, like, the hair,
use that
Dodgers.
Yep.
And I think Luciano, like, I'm for years I'm going to be watching what he does. So I hope this isn't one of those where a guy just ends up, like Alexander Canario, who's just kind of bouncing around now. So I hope this isn't one of those.
Yeah. All right. What else do we have, Alex? WBC, Logan Webb confirmed to be joining Team USA in the World Baseball Classic.
We have that. We do have other, just quickly, Nick Margevicius, who's signing a minor league deal with them. He'll be in big league camp, and he's, that kind of fits in a little bit too with the this is the pool they have put together of pitchers, and these are the guys. It is a minor league deal, it's a non-roster invitee. When I saw the name, I was like, oh, I haven't heard of that guy for a while. Fascinating to me because I remember him being really tough, and his career numbers are not good at all. They're just not. I mean, he has a 6 ERA in the big leagues, but two of his first 3 starts were against the Giants, and he absolutely shoved. Yeah. So I think that's just been in my head for like 7 years.
I pulled up the box score from his career debut against the Giants, and he left the game with a lead. And then I think the next batter ended up being the tying in, and the next batter, the go-ahead run, just completely got hosed by the bullpen for the Padres. But
so it's a funny one. I'm like, this guy was really good, and I'm like, oh, he just dominated the Giants in 2019.
Just you know what? Collect the Giants killers. We've talked about that for years.
He is.
Yeah.
And,
All right.
They remembered him. But yeah, Logan Webb.
There's some other guys I want to remember too. We'll do that after. But Logan Webb, World Baseball Classic, and it made me realize we haven't really talked much about World Baseball Classic, how that operates logistically this season.
First dog sighting of 26. So
we haven't really talked about World Baseball Classic, how that operates logistically for the 2026 season. Basically, this is in lieu of spring training or running concurrent with spring training.
It's with it. I mean, he'll be there. I think WBC guys report a couple days early.
Mm-hmm.
It's early March. Team USA will be in Houston. So he will. Logan's on an absolutely loaded staff, so I assume he's the number 3. Scooble and Skeens are on that staff as well. So it's I think it's cool. Like he wanted to do it. The Giants very clearly did not want him to do it. There's no hiding that at the winter meeting. But I don't think they really had a leg to stand on because their president of baseball operations played in the WBC. So Brandon Crawford played in the WBC. A bunch of other guys have overtime for the Giants as well. So it is, the good news, Dave Greshner will be Team USA's trainer. So he'll be there to keep a close eye on Logan. It's like the one pitcher in baseball. I just, one of these years we won't be able to talk about this, but it's the one guy you just don't worry about.
Yeah.
He'll be ready for the season. He'll be ready to give you 220 innings, whatever, 215, whatever it is. So I don't worry about him at all physically. And if something ever happens to him, he's a pitcher. Like I don't think you can keep these guys from doing their jobs. They just, stuff happens sometimes. So I'm happy that everyone got together and let him do this, and we'll get something to watch in like March 12th or 14th or whatever. We'll watch him pitch in the WBC.
I would love to at some point have a pitcher who pitched in the WBC sit down and talk about it, because it seems like such a great opportunity for a guy like Webb to sit down with the best grips in baseball. You're killing time. You're competing. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe pointers get thrown around. Maybe, hey, how do you get that movement gets thrown around? And this is just like an all-time way to improve.
Well, make a note. I mean, Logan comes on this pod every spring. So we do a long yearly thing. I'll make sure we'll try to do it after the WBC this year. We can ask him these. But I think it'll be fun. And I know it's something he really wanted to do. And it's a loaded team. And I'm a huge fan of that event. So just kind of think Giants, you just gotta sorry, this is just the way it is. It was funny at the winter meetings, everyone just kind of talking around how maybe you can do this later in his career. It's an awesome rotation. Like just cannot get any better in current Major League Baseball.
Team USA has not won it since Buster was on the team almost a decade ago in 2017. So Logan, bring us home a trophy.
Finished second last time, right? So
finished second, I believe. Was that the big Shohei Trout showdown?
Yeah. So it's a big event, and I think it's gonna be an even bigger deal this time around because it just keeps getting better and better. So we'll see what other Giants end up involved.
Yeah. All right. I want to talk remembering some guys. I want to answer some mailbag questions that we've accumulated on our little winter break here in December. But first, Giants Talk is presented by Mancini's Sleep World. At Mancini's Sleep World, every mattress is backed by their Rest Easy promise of a 365-night comfort guarantee with the lowest prices and next-day delivery. Plus, they also have ongoing deals on top brands like Tempur-Pedic, starting at $29 a month, Avocado, Helix, and more. Visit sleepworld.com. Okay, Alex, what do you think about remembering some guys with me?
This was we're trying to figure out what, we're just prepared in case we had the podcast the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, we've just been accumulating rememberings.
Things are happening, and we're just like, all right, it's time. We'll run through them quickly. Chris Bryant trade update. Caleb Killian back with the Giants, signed a minor league deal with them. Alexander Canario signed.
Giants win the deal. Giants won the trade.
Over and over and over again. But Canario signed to play in Asia. So it is remarkable how the Cubs got Zero out of that.
Who was the original rumor? It was Bart and a couple of other guys were in the deal.
Bart was rumored, I believe. I think there's some good stories about people trying to find Joey Bart at the ballpark.
Yeah, chasing him down.
You were not traded. But yeah, it's we bring that deal up a lot because it's one of the bigger trades in franchise history. And
yeah,
the two prospects, one of them's back. So welcome back, Caleb Killian.
Yep. Tyler Austin, our old friend, signed with the Cubs.
This is a good podcast for if you're like, I did not know that guy was still playing baseball.
Alex, I did not know that guy was still playing baseball.
He was playing baseball overseas. He's back with the Cubs.
All right, good for him. We love the went overseas to get it back and returned move. The Vogel song, if you will.
We have one of those. Carson Ragsdale.
There we go.
One of the Carsons we talked about a lot last spring. And Wisenhunt is still here. Seymour is still here. And Ragsdale has bounced around a little bit and now heading overseas. I think this is a really smart move for him because we saw this offseason. Who was it? Ponce? Somebody got like a big deal early. It's just like you go overseas, learn some new things, dominate for a couple of years. You come back and you get that big league deal. So
yes,
hopefully that happens with Carson Ragsdale as well.
Yeah. Speaking of big league deals and guys I didn't know were playing anymore, Drew Pomeranz heading to Anaheim for a $4 million Angels contract, a two-time Giant, correct? Although kind of like 1.5 time.
1.1.
1.1 time Giant.
Just an all-time, like, just still going.
Can't shake him.
4 years from now, he's going to show up with the Texas Rangers making $3.5 million.
Exactly.
It's good for Drew. He's just left-handed, throws hard,
loves the game,
still doing it. So
yeah, that's fantastic. All right, shout out Drew. Before we get to mailbag questions, I have a question for you, Alex. Did you do your homework this winter?
I did.
You watched Caught Stealing starring Austin Butler?
I did. Had a lot of free time. Dark.
Yeah, pretty dark. The Giants, if you're referring, of course, to the way that season ended.
That too, yeah, a lot of ways. I did I'm sure a high percentage what percentage of people do you think did what I did, which is pause the movie at some point and go to Baseball Reference and start looking at box scores of games he was actually referencing.
Yeah. I mean, I saw it in theaters, but I couldn't. But I was sitting there going, "Oh, I wish I could get my phone out right now."
No, I paused like 7 minutes in. It was like going through that season. Two thoughts. I enjoyed it. It was a surprise, not what I expected.
Yeah.
Bit of a dark movie, but I enjoyed it. I would recommend it. It is one of those, like, sometimes in our house there's like we hit a threshold where my wife's just like, no, I'm not watching this anymore. So
and did this hit that?
This was one of those where I'm like, I don't think you're gonna like this. So yeah, so this was, but I enjoyed it. The other thing is, this is full validation of what you and I have talked about for like 6 months of how are the Giants not involved, because there was so much Giants in this movie. It's unbelievable.
Such an unnecessary, I think I said this when we first discussed it, but if it had been any other team, not limited to baseball, if it had been the Philadelphia Flyers or some college football team I don't care about, it would have been distractingly annoying. But it being my team, I was like, oh, hell yeah, this is cool.
I mean, the phrase "Go Giants" was said like 30 times. He's hanging up the phone and saying "Go Giants" to his mom.
I've had listeners tell me they started using that instead of goodbye, just on the phone.
It blows my mind that this like never. It's what we've talked about with this movie. It never like got on our radar early. That he wasn't like. I think he's going to be in what's he going? He's going to be in something big coming up. He's going to be in like the new Heat movie, I think.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, I mean, he's just Dune. He's been doing all kinds of stuff.
Just blows my mind he didn't like throw out a first pitch this year or something like that.
Now, do you think it was too dark for that?
Possibly. The guy said "Go Giants" a million times in a movie. It's insane. It is one of the most like sports team centric plots I've ever seen in any
outside of like Jimmy Fallon fever pitch.
Yeah,
it absolutely has to be.
Yeah. So it feels like get into a game or something, or get the writer to a game. I just want to I have so many questions.
I absolutely do too. But yeah, I mean, we're talking deep cuts too, like KNBR stickers on fridges and
Yeah,
bye bye birdie or
yeah,
bye bye, the home run one, being drunkenly sung at bars.
it was a. If you're a Giants fan and you like you can do a dark thrower, like I 100% recommend it. It's almost like it was funny how often Giants were mentioned.
Yep.
In
There's a drinking game in there somewhere.
yeah, there is. So anyway, enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Good movie.
Fantastic. Hey, that is my best picture nominee.
Yeah, it was I just can't get over the Giants thing.
The best supporting actor, a Giants
hat. It really, the Giants hat was like the most prominent part of that movie.
Absolutely was. Okay, moving on to other mailbag questions. Alex, let's start with one from Trevor. Trevor says, looking at all the young pitching that the Giants have, particularly those pitchers that seem like they're missing one or two tools to be a starting pitcher, is it crazy to think that the Giants can fix their bullpen internally? I think guys like McDonald, Tang, Seymour, and Wisenhunt could all be very effective in shorter bursts, especially if they can increase their velocity by not going deeper into games. They also have at least one very effective out pitch.
100% agree. It's one reason I'm not that worried about the bullpen. I think the bullpen discussions we have are more who is going to pitch the eighth and who's going to pitch the ninth. Mm-hmm. And at the start of the year, really, like I think over time they will figure it out with some of these guys. It's just it's really, really risky to go into a season relying on this many young guys to figure it out in your bullpen. So that's why we keep circling back to like the closer thing, and they're all gone. And like even seventh, eighth inning, like who do you trust in those situations? But I do think over time there's enough guys here. Like Seymour is a great example. We see a Carson Seymour on every team in the league. Just you kind of go, where'd that guy come from?
Exactly.
And it's a guy who was maybe didn't stick as a starter, and I'm not saying he won't, but maybe that was the case for him, and throws hard and figured out a second pitch to throw at everybody. Tang, the strikeout numbers are off the charts, so you could see it working out of the bullpen if he can figure out the command a little bit. So no, I think they have the pieces internally to put together a good bullpen. Just might take some time. And you're counting on multiple guys taking the leap.
Yeah. We'll get some good bold predictions out of the names listed here. But I think looking at how they didn't jump on any of the closer arms or any of the available relievers, it's pretty clear that they're wanting to focus in-house.
Yeah, I'd feel more comfortable as a Giants fan if, like, we've I think had this exact conversation. It's 3-1 on opening day. Who's coming into the game?
Yeah.
So, and it could be these guys, but it takes some time to figure out who you can trust. Yeah.
All right. Hayden says, with the Molly news, is there a chance they look to trade Roop or even Ray and continue to upgrade the rotation? Or these are 5 guys this year?
I don't think so. Landon Roop's one of the only young. We started this whole podcast. You were talking about the last lack of success. One of their best success stories from a young guy perspective. So, and then Ray, I mean, he has a year left on his contract. And again, if you're looking for upside in this rotation, and I think the main thing for us, or for me at least, when I look at it, is like who can get you to 89, 90, 91 wins, whatever it is. Who can you trust to get you there? And we do know Robbie Ray can be one of those guys. So it was maybe a little inconsistent last year at the end of it, but and he does have only 1 year left on his deal, but they need somebody right behind Logan who they can trust to go out there in April and be really good.
Yeah. Will says, I know he's not a good defensive second baseman, but Luis Arias would be the contact bat we're looking for and a great clubhouse presence. Apparently, he only has received 1 offer, 2 for $20 million from the D-backs. Any thoughts on bringing the 3-time batting champ to San Francisco after Buster's comments about contact?
I've always liked him. Like I think he gets a bad rap because he he's easy to make fun of online and like point to the wins above replacement or whatever, and be like he's just batting average basically. But it would be a nice addition to this lineup. Now I don't think it's. I don't know. We've been talking about second base all offseason. I don't think a lot of guys move the needle for me.
Yes.
I'd put them over Casey Schmidt and the potential that he keeps figuring it out and getting better. I think this would be in that category for me as well. So I've said all offseason, like, spend that money elsewhere, but then also if they fill the rotation, you kind of run out of places to.
Yeah, we're not spending it at all.
Yeah, right field.
Yeah,
still use some help there. So, yeah, I don't know if I don't think this is necessarily the team for him right now, but he's also horrible defensively. So, yeah.
Do you think not a good defensive second baseman was a little bit of an undersell?
Yeah, he's a first baseman at this point.
Yeah.
So, that would be tough.
All right. Josiah says, I feel like I hear you both often reference if a player has Bay Area roots when it comes to free agents or trade targets. Why does this matter to you? This doesn't come up in LA or other markets. It seems like where a player grew up is immaterial. This is a very interesting question because I'm a sucker for a good story. I was talking about earlier how one of my first moves when the Giants make a signing or a trade is to research the guy. I think growing up in locker rooms, because of my dad, I just really like seeing the players as people and wanting to get to know them as people and get to know their stories as people rather than get to know them as a right fielder or a catcher or anything like that. And being from around here, this potentially being the team they grew up rooting for, knowing that this is, that they come from the area that we're rooting for is just such an icing on the cake for me. But at the end of the day, that's all it really is. It's icing on the cake. You don't choose one guy because he's from the Bay Area. It's just a fun bonus that he is.
Well, Josiah, I would say there's this movie called Caught Stealing where you can see how much fandom mean to an older person. No, I get what he's saying. I quickly Googled something just to confirm. I would push back a little bit. Freddie Freeman's a Dodger in large part because he is from that area. It was like he wasn't going to be a Brave, so he went back home. Tyler Glasnow signed this massive deal right away after that trade because he's from SoCal as well. So these things do matter a little bit. I think what actually matters more these days is and we're seeing this now with I think it's like the Bregman rumors with the Diamondbacks. What matters a lot for a lot of these guys is the guys who live in like Phoenix year round or Florida year round and just go, can I be, or, instead of being there for spring training, like Corbin Burns, can I be there for 6 months during the season as well?
Yeah.
So I think that's helpful. And obviously if you're signing with the Giants, you get to go there quite often and you're 2 hours away. If you live in Scottsdale or something and in the offseason you sign with the Giants. But I do think there's something to ultimately money matters for all this, but there's something to if you're Joe Ryan and you hit free agency and all things being equal, it's the Giants versus the Chicago White Sox. Almost everyone's going to choose their hometown team. So,
exactly.
Just from the simple standpoint of a lot of times your family's still there. So it's that makes it easy. So I think there's something to it. There's maybe not it's not the be all end all. And I think we talk about it a lot just because it's interesting sometimes with these guys.
It's cool.
It's we hit these free agents and it's who matters? Who can you bring in here? And it is interesting when you look at a guy and go, oh, he's from San Anselmo or Palo Alto. And a lot of times it does work and guys do want to come home. And this is something that Farhan was adamant about, not letting guys get out of the Bay Area. And part of that was the draft too. And not letting so not letting a Jock Peterson end up in Los Angeles when he was from Palo Alto. So it is something teams pay attention to as well.
Yeah. And I think you brought up some really good points about how it's actually, despite the mailbag question here, it is paying off dividends for the Dodgers with some of the guys that they locked down. But also on the fan side, I know for my Dodgers fan friends, they absolutely love when the kids who were true blue Dodger fans end up with the team. That is gold to them.
Yeah, I mean, we've had guys here who they get traded or they sign here and we talk to them for the first time and go, what's your back? And they go, I grew up going to Dodger Stadium. I mean, Sergio Romo grew up a Dodger fan. So
exactly.
There's the flip side of it. But it is like a little helpful.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, it's cool. It's just a cool thing.
You have like the Brandon Crawford stories. So
Exactly. All right. One more question before we wrap it up on today's episode from Katie. Katie says, longtime Giants Talk listener, and we gave birth to our baby boy last week. We can't wait to take him to his first Giants game. The Giants website says they currently no longer do first game certificates. Could you guys try to work your magic?
Was it 2 years ago we talked about this? Really
enhancing this fan experience is how you lock down the lifelong fans.
Well, someone sent us a note at some point the last couple of years and said they went to a game and were told to like go print a PDF out or something.
Oh, they got sent like a QR code or something.
Yeah. So this is more of I don't have an answer for it other than I know a lot of Giants people listen to this podcast, and I hope you still have first game certificates. And if you don't, bring them back. Because I have one literally I'm staring at it right now, Cactus League. Max's first game. So
exactly. That's the kind of thing that gets put in a frame, stays in the bedroom, and then you blink, and that kid is wearing a Giants hat at a bar in New York City singing Bye Bye Baby with Zoe Kravitz.
Exactly. Also feels like and I don't know if it's true that they don't have them anymore. I hope they do. It feels like the easiest thing in the world. All you need is a printer.
Some cardstock printer.
Yeah, cardstock. Easy to get done. So hopefully, Giants, hopefully you still have them. If you don't, we're going to.
Alex, do you want to keep a stack on you and you can just hand them through the press box window?
We need a printer, but we're going to. We need a cause in 2026.
Is this, you know what? Maybe pitch us your causes. Katie, that's a good cause. Well, we're going to Shark Tank it, and we'll get some other causes. And by the time pitchers and catchers have reported, the Giants Talk podcast will have an official cause.
We've worked on other things over the years. Chicken finger scythe, most notably. Ranch dressing in more spots at the ballpark. I think of other ones. We've had other pet causes, but we're looking for more for 26.
Yeah. I think the light show was a big cause of ours for a while.
It's still a cause of mine. I don't feel pacified one bit.
With that, hey, add it to the list, Alex. We can't lock it in as the 2026 cause yet.
We need some causes. We're getting back into baseball mode here. We need to remember what they're doing, what they're not doing.
We do. All right. With that, thank you for listening. Thank you for joining us here in 2026. We've got a few weeks until pitchers and catchers report. A few weeks after that until the Giants have the first opening day of the year before all other teams, and then a really exciting season ahead of us. Don't forget to subscribe to Giants Talk wherever you listen to your podcasts. Give us a hell of a rating on that same podcasting app. Instead of goodbye, go Giants.